Tracy, and for all my friends out there, vegan or not, this is a really great dessert, and you know you're going to love it. So a lot of you have been asking me for this recipe, and here it goes. This is a salted caramel cheesecake, and you leave off the caramel sauce. This is dessert, which I love. So the caramel sauce is the start off with 4 cups of soaked cashews. You can soak them 4 to 5 hours or overnight. This is how you get them so light. So we're going to start with our caramel sauce. And for caramel sauce, we're going to use 1 can of whole bath coconut. So with this coconut milk, from the grocery store, sometimes it's the same night. Make sure that you get the full bath. And we're going to put this into a saucepan. Okay, we're going to let this go to a boil, so we'll keep an eye on it because, you know, when you're cooking anything with a sugar, even a coconut sugar, it can burn. So you'll want to make sure that as soon as it starts to boil, you turn it down and reduce that to a simmer. So we'll just keep an eye on this. The next thing that we're going to do is our crust. So our crust is going to consist of about 10 to 12 dates, depending on their size. I like to use the medjool. They're a really plump, sweet date. They're kind of soft, which I like for the crust. These have already been pitted, so make sure. I like to use organic medjools, so make sure that you get the pit out, or you're going to have some noise going on. You're going to ruin your dessert if you get a pit crumbled up in there. So there's, I'll use about 10 of these, a couple more. Just take the pits out of there. And now I can hear that our sauce is over here, turn the light on, boiling. So I'm just going to stir it. I'm going to get it turned down to a simmer. And I've set an alarm for about 30 minutes, and I'm going to check on that. So you can see right now that it's kind of a light brown, and it will be a dark brown. Can you see that? It'll be a dark brown when it's finished, so we'll check back on that. All right, so back to our crust. I'm going to use a cup of shredded coconut. I like to use an unsweetened coconut because when you look on the ingredients, there's no propylene glycols or anything like that, just unsulfured coconut shreds. And you can use either pecans or almonds, a cup of either one. I used half a cup of each because I like both of them. So we'll put these in. And now we're going to just put this on and let it crumble for a few minutes in this processor. You can pulse it. I'm going to pulse it on high, or you can pulse. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make sure that it's, I'm going to put it on high for a little bit, probably for about a minute. So that kind of has a crumbly texture. So that looks pretty good. I'm actually going to add about a half a cup of, or maybe a teaspoon of coconut oil in there. That look more like a tablespoon. And process it. Like to do as well is just put a little bit of that coconut oil on my fingers so that the mixture does not stick to my fingers. So I'm just going to take this and pour it into my springform pan. So you can see here, I'm just patting it down. Right up to the edges. If you've never used a springform pan, this is what you use to make a regular cheesecake, and I like to use them for my raw cheesecake desserts as well. Because you just flip this little switch here after your dessert is all done, and you can lift the outside of the ring right off, and your dessert is delicious. So you can see right here, this is just patted down in there. It's really good. And now we're going to work on the filling. I'm just going to rinse my hands out real quick. And now we're going to turn over here to the filling we're going to do in a high-powered, use a Vitamix or any high-powered kind of mixer. And for the filling, we have a 3/4 cup of water, 3/4 cup of lemon juice. And you can use either 3/4 cup of honey or 3/4 cups of maple syrup. Some of my raw foodie friends like to use maple syrup instead of honey, so it's up to you. I'm using maple syrup, and I like a little bit of honey too, so put a little bit of honey in there. It's about a quarter cup of honey, and I used a half a cup of the maple syrup. Now we can use either you can scrape out a pod of a vanilla bean, or you can use about a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And then you'll also want to add 3/4 of a cup of coconut oil. So last but not least, I'm going to come around this way and meet me over here at this sink, because I'm going to rinse and drain my cashews that have been soaked overnight. I'm just going to pour those out into the strainer here. There we go. Make sure I rinse them pretty good. also just gonna walk over here and make sure that my sauce is doing okay. It's getting a lot darker and it's looking really good. We're also gonna, it's gonna thicken up a little bit as it cooks there. So now I'm going to come around this way and put these cashews into the back mix. Now I'm going to blend this on high for about a minute, and I think my lid is in here. Yep, here it is. So we will, and a lid on. Trusty plunger so I can kind of push it down. If you don't have one of those, just give your blender a shake, and because it's kind of thick and you want to shake it a little bit. Maybe one more minute. It's really important to have it nice and creamy and smooth. Actually filling. And you want it to taste delicious. And I bet it does. It does. So I'm going to take the springform pan here, and then I will pour out the filling on top of that crumbly crust. So I want to get every last drop of it that I can. Going to take this, it's a frosting spreader, and I'm going to just make my cheesecake nice and smooth on the top. And I can also do this by just kind of giving it a couple of taps on the countertop. Let's see, nice and smooth. And I'm going to put this in the freezer for about 4 hours, and then when that's done, then I will take my caramel sauce, I will take the ring off, pour the caramel sauce on the top, and I'll have my delicious cheesecake. And you'll get to see that in just a few minutes.